Hey everyone, Cahlen here, and in this video I'm going to talk about skincare. How exciting. So a viewer asked me to talk about skincare, specifically in regards to my living situation, so I'll talk about that a little bit, but it is something that I've kind of covered before, and then I'm going to talk more in general about how to deal with skin issues which might appear, and it's actually a pretty big topic. Skin health is probably one of the most complicated topics when it comes to health, because there's so many things that can cause so many different types of reactions in the skin, and it also is a case-by-case type basis. But anyways, for me, taking care of my skin, I don't really do anything. I don't even shower, right? The last shower I had was back earlier in March of last year, I think, right? And then before that, I hadn't had a shower for a year before that, right? So I don't really bathe, and I also wear the same pair of clothes. Like, this is the same pair of clothes that I've been pretty much wearing for almost 2 years straight, right? A year and a half straight. And I don't even wash these clothes, okay? So, you know, and then I'm dealing with dry weather, cold wind, sunshine all the time, and so it seems like it would be a thing where I would have lots of skin issues, but really I don't have any skin issues. I don't even have dry skin anywhere on my, except the only place that I have dry skin is like on the ankle, or this part of the sock, you know, that kind of holds pretty tight to the skin. And if I take off my socks, I see dry skin there that just needs to kind of be brushed off. It's not like it's like dry skin that's painful or affects, you know, there's actually good healthy skin underneath it. It's just that there is dead skin which has not been able to get away because the sock is holding it tightly there. And all other places that I'm wearing clothes, you know, as you move, the clothes kind of moves a little bit, right? And so it's moving things along. So anyways, I mean, I think the reason that I have success with my skin is because of diet, essentially, and sunshine. Diet, sunshine, and probably wearing wool clothes is helpful for me, though some people are allergic to lanolin and cannot wear wool. So if you're one of these people, then don't use wool, but I think wearing wool is really helpful. It's antimicrobial, so you're going to avoid getting bacterial infestations in places on your body, which can cause skin issues, obviously. So, and then for me, so I'm someone who, you know, I'm health-minded. I'm a health coach. I was a certified health coach. I don't really consider myself, you know, it was a while ago that I did that, so I don't really think of myself as really certified anymore, but I did go through a program where I learned about all of this type of stuff. And I was very, very regimented about it. And basically, I followed something called the Bulletproof Diet, which I think is probably the best out there if you're interested in getting into a healthy place, because it's not super strict. You can still do the Bulletproof Diet as a vegetarian, even a vegan. It's a little bit more restrictive, and you can even have different types of feeding windows, but it's just a way of kind of categorizing foods by how dangerous they are. And you know, because each person has a different reaction, so you're basically taking a certain level of chance. Some foods are going to be dangerous for everyone. Some foods are going to be dangerous for some people, but some foods are pretty much dangerous for nobody. And so if you just follow the top, there's a chart that you can get. Just look up something called the Bulletproof Diet Roadmap. And that's going to take you to a page where you have to put in your email address to sign up for a newsletter, and then you can unsubscribe instantly. But they'll send you the chart, right? And this is like the most valuable thing that humanity has ever produced in terms of how to eat healthy. And it's on one single page. It's extremely easy to read. If you want to make sure that you're healthy, and this is one of the main things. Like if someone had a skin issue, and skin issues can come from all kinds of different things. It's like a giant mystery, really. But if I wanted to, like, have someone do something which is most likely to benefit them, and this, you know, in general, but also this skin issue specifically, I'd say get on the Bulletproof Diet, follow the top line, and do that for a few months. And not only are you going to feel way, way, way better, but I bet you that your skin issue is going to go away. So basically, that's what I would say. You know, this is a very, very complicated topic. And, you know, I have done a lot of research on it, and I do know a lot about it, but ultimately when it comes down to it, it's just like, well, it's not really too much of a point of going too in-depth on that beyond saying it's probably what you're eating. And you can get really complicated about this and try all these different diets and stuff like that, but if you just do the Bulletproof Diet, you follow the top line, or maybe the top 2 lines, the second line down is like light green instead of like bright green, so it's a little less safe. If you do those top 2 lines, for a few months, you're probably going to be fine. So, and then, okay, so, and the reason why I don't want to get more specific, I'm going to start listing off a few specific things and realize this is a tiny, tiny list compared to all the different things that can affect people's skin health, and you also have to keep in mind that each thing affects every individual person differently. Skin manifests problems differently for every single person. So, anyways, so for example, diet, eating a lot of lectins, which is a type of thing which appears in a lot of types of foods, and they appear as all kinds of different things. So like in red kidney beans, if you eat the lectins from a red kidney bean without cooking the bean, you're going to die. And it's pretty much going to kill everyone. And then there's other types of lectins where it's like some people can eat it and they won't feel anything. They're going to be totally fine. And that doesn't mean they don't have a negative impact, but they're not going to feel it, right? And other people are going to feel it. They're going to get arthritis. They're going to get joint pain. They're going to get rashes. They're going to get dry skin. They're going to get psoriasis. They're going to get stuff like that. So, and then other things like eating high sugar or non-organic foods and stuff like that, and you can end up in a situation where you're getting lots of outbreaks, like things, your body excretes toxins through your skin, and depending on where it's doing that and what kind of toxin it is, the skin's going to react in a different way in that situation. So anyways, if you're constantly breaking out, that often has a lot to do with sugar. Sugar is another one of those big things. Lectins, sugar, like casein, eating gluten. People think that the whole gluten thing is really just an allergy that certain people have, but really wheat in general and actually grains in general are pretty bad for you. Like white rice is about as clean as you can get, but still that's not that great, and the other ones are actually pretty bad. Okay, so avoiding grains, a skin issue can be you have a thyroid issue, or you have too much cortisol, or you don't have enough cortisol, or it's just, or like, for example, I know someone who had a child who had eczema for like a couple of years, and she did everything and all the things that I would have told them to do, and the only thing that solved it is when they moved out of the house that they were living in, because there was probably some sort of contamination in the house, right? And there was no way to figure that out except for actually leaving the house. So that's an example of something, is like there's all these things that you can try to fix a skin issue. Like, for example, moving out of your house, but some of them are kind of extreme, like moving out of your house, right? But there are things which are less extreme and which you can try, and you want that thing to be as broadly effective as possible, right? To be most likely to have an impact over something else that you can try, right? And diet is the thing that you can have the most impact with. So I would say get on the bulletproof diet. You can follow the bulletproof diet. It's chiefly carnivore. It avoids grains. It avoids most dairy except butter, and things need to be grass-fed. Everything needs to be organic, but there are a lot of foods that you can eat even as a vegan. Like I have this chart downloaded on my phone. I refer to it quite frequently, and basically the types of things that it says that a vegan can eat would be like chocolate and coconuts and avocados and all kinds of different, like kale and broccoli and things like that, right? So anyways, if you're having skin issues, that's where to start. If that doesn't solve it after a couple of weeks or a few months, I would say, okay, you probably got a more specific situation here. And for me, what I would do is I would go to, for example, to a podcast that I like, that talks about health, basically it just talks about health. It's been around for a long time, and then do a search on that for skin, and then watch the episodes. Make sure I trust the host, and that the types of guests that they get to come on are pretty, reputable people you can trust, smart people, and learn everything you can about skin health from these people. Like, for example, the Bulletproof Radio podcast is, which is now called, I think, The Human Upgrade by Dave Asprey. Dave Asprey is probably the smartest guy on this planet when it comes to health and longevity and biohacking. I would trust him over anyone else on this planet. So he runs that podcast. He also made the Bulletproof Diet. He wrote a book about it, and also there's the chart, right? But anyways, he has people on all the time on his podcast who are really, really smart. Now, secretly, and you'll come to realize this after you've watched a lot, he's smarter than all of them. But still, really, he does it in a way where it's not going to be overbearing, and it leads to really good, informative conversations where you can get a lot of good information. So, for example, if you've got a skin issue and the diet stuff didn't work, go to the Bulletproof Radio podcast, now called The Human Upgrade, do a search for skin, and then watch every single episode that has skin in the title. And you're basically going to know more about skin than a lot of dermatologists. So, and then, you'll have to start deciding from there what to do. Again, it's a complicated situation and unique to every single person, assuming the diet doesn't solve the problem. So anyways, I hope that's helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.